Maywood Church of Christ at 619 South 13th Avenue in Maywood, Illinois is about fulfillment for your family. So tell a friend to tell a friend on Wednesday at 7 p.m., Sunday 9:30 a.m. and 10:45 morning worship. Don't miss out on your lifetime opportunity. 646-752-1508.
2 weeks to bear my faith. 2 weeks to bear. 2 weeks to fly away, and then the world can't do me no harm. Everybody sing 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks to bear my faith. I want 2 weeks to bear my faith. I need 2 weeks to fly away, and then the world can't do me no harm.
Growing things and change challenges us to trust God.
2 weeks to bear my all I need is 2 weeks to bear my faith. I need 2 weeks, 2 weeks to fly away, and then the world can't do me no harm. Listen to me now. Meet me, Jesus, leave me alone. Meet me in the middle of the air. If these 2 weeks you happen to fail me, then I know you'll meet me with another pair. All I need is 2 weeks, 2 weeks to bear my I need 2 weeks, Lord, to bear my faith. I need 2 weeks, 2 weeks to fly away, and then the world can't do me no harm.
This scripture is unique only to Luke's narrative. This is not just a testimony to the ability of Jesus to cure leprosy, but it is also concerned with the attitude of the person cured, because too often faith must be added to thanksgiving. Sometimes we forget that faith must be added to thanksgiving. Okay, this is going to become real clear in just a moment. Our text presents to us a man who shows us where the true cause of thanksgiving lies. You see, there are some things that are more important than material and physical things.
That's true.
You can't pay for peace of mind. You can have a drawer full of medicine, but you can't buy. And you can't buy good health.
Lord have mercy.
You can't put a price on a good night's sleep. There are some things that are more important than just the physical and the material. I tucked my daddy in bed last night.
Bless you.
You all prayed for him last night at the musical. They prayed for my father because I was not there and I was rushing trying to get there, but he was in the hospital and you all prayed for him, and then I was able to take him from the hospital and actually bring him back home. And he was able to have a good night's sleep.
Lord.
So just for a few moments, let's put on our spiritual bifocal. And let's take a look at the historical backdrop of this text. Because once you see the historicity of the text, then it brings home clearer as we start to look at it in our contemporary eye. But first we have to set our lenses and go back. Then we can come forward. Amen? Leprosy, or Hansen's disease, was a chronic infectious disease that, not surprising in the ancient world, was considered a skin disease which was difficult to diagnose or heal. It was generally regarded as a divine punishment, of which could only be effected by God himself. Now, with such an infectious disease, lepers had to wear torn clothes. They had to let their hair become unkempt. They had to cover the lower part of their face and cry, "Unclean! Unclean!" to anyone that was within 50 paces of them. As long as the infection remained, he was unclean. They must live alone. They must live outside the camp. The social consequences of leprosy are perhaps worse than the illness of the disease itself. It was a sentence to social ostracism. The disease deprived the victim of not only health, but it deprived them of their name, their occupation, their social habits, their family, their fellowship, their worship in the community. Other illnesses had to be healed, but leprosy had to be cleansed. So let's examine this tragic congregation. As he entered into a certain village, there met him 10 what?
Lepers. 10 men.
Thank you, sir.
10 men.
That's significant. I know if you read too fast, you'll say 10 lepers.
Right.
It says he met 10
Men.
and referring to the 10 men as men rather than lepers, he was acknowledging their humanity. Thus verbally reclaiming them from the defilement and from the defacement of their condition, of their disease. You are not your disease.
Amen.
All right, preacher.
You are not what you are going through.
Get that
You are not your cancer.
Yes, sir.
Cancer can't have you. Because that's not what, y'all getting this, right? You are not your condition. You may have cancer, but cancer doesn't have you. You may be struggling with drugs, alcohol addiction. There may be something you're struggling with, but don't let what you're struggling with have you. You are not your condition.
That's a word there, preacher.
You may be struggling with sex addictions, gambling, pornography. ZZ Hill said, cheating in the next room. I went back too far. Making plans to see you soon. You are not your condition. Repeat after me. I am not my condition.
My condition. Thank
Marvin
you.
Sapp said it this way. He saw the best in me when everyone else could only see. You see, sometimes, folks, you only see the worst in you. Or you get caught up in your condition and you forget that God does not look at just the grain of sand. God sees the whole beast.
Speak, Lord.
God knows. Jesus still saves.
Amen.
Jesus still forgives.
Yes, sir.
His blood still cleanses.
Yes, sir.
And his love still makes us whole.
Amen. Oh.
Look at verse number 14. Let me show you the tremendous compassion that was taking place here. Jesus does not even touch them. Look at verse 14. It says, and when he... Just take your time and observe the text. Don't try to interpret the text. Just observe the text before you try to interpret it and apply it. Jesus saw them. And he said unto them, go show yourselves unto the priest. And it came to pass that as, okay, y'all know y'all word is on the way, right? And it came to pass that as they went
On their way.
they were cleansed. Here's the significance of that. Jesus does not touch them. Jesus does not promise them healing. Jesus does not directly even acknowledge their request. He orders them to go and present themselves to the priest. The command itself is a curious one indeed. Because self-presentation to the priest was the legal prescription for those who had already been healed.
Lord have mercy.
Woo! And as they went
On their way.
they
It's a
were
word,
healed.
preacher.
know what's going on in your life, but you got to keep going on the road.
My soul is she, and he the He's just a just hallelujah, hallelujah, I love to praise his name. Let's sing hallelujah, hallelujah, I love to praise his name. Hallelujah, 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 I love to praise his name. You know that I love to praise his name.
Not my condition. I'm better than my condition. And we gotta live for the promise. We gotta seek the promise.
Got that.
God did it. He did it. So it's up to us to carry it through, to follow through on it.
He mentioned that, we talked about this in Sunday school
Yes.
as far as being victorious over a situation, and anything that has to do with victory is a fight. And so we must fight for the victory. Fight the good fight. So that was part of our Sunday school lesson.
Hi, how you doing? This is Brother Keith S. Murphy from the Hillside Church of Christ here in Maywood. Just praising God and having favor with all the people. Next time you're in town, make sure you come to Maywood. Love you. God bless.